What is up, you guys, and welcome back again to Hypegeek, the show where we celebrate hype and me just kicking the heck out of things. My name is Colin, and today we have a very special and unique episode. Unique in a sense because usually in Hypegeek we would talk about sneakers, we would talk about apparels, and this is neither of those. What we have here are perfumes. Specifically, I want to touch on this particular perfume here in the middle. Why? Because this is something I got during the Lazada 6/6 sale. So this actually just came in the mail a couple of days ago, and I was able to test it, and I wanted to give you guys my impression, I want to give you guys my thoughts on it, and I want to give you guys my experience in purchasing this perfume at Lazada. Now, before we go into that, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so because we're making more and more videos for you guys. Let me know as well if this is a video that you like. I don't know if this is something that might interest you, but I'm doing something different. I want to experiment with something in this channel, and perfume is one of those subjects that's really close to my heart. In fact, I could probably talk to you about perfumes for 5 hours straight. I would not tire, and then talk to you about it again the next day. Now, for those who don't know, one of my earliest collections before I even got into the whole sneaker collection are fragrances. In fact, my earliest recollection of ever getting a fragrance was when I was probably in third grade, and that would be Colors by Benetton. I don't know if you guys are alive by then. For those who are, if you remember Colors by Benetton, magkasing edad tayo. But honestly, that's the great thing about fragrances. There is this thing called scent memory. Now, according to research, one of the biggest triggers for memory would be scent. And a lot of people actually take that for granted. I certainly did when I was growing up. I really just started appreciating them more when I was actually older. Although back then, I already had my small collection. Probably have a rotation of 3 to 4 fragrances. Right now, it ballooned to around 70 plus. So yes, it's a little bit of an unhealthy obsession, but then what collections aren't? Now, to talk about fragrances, particularly to those who may not know much, we have to start with the terminologies. So one of the things that you have to take into consideration when you talk about perfume would be the structure of the fragrance. Now, when we say structure, we are not going to go into the whole chemistry part of that. We are not going to be touching ethers. I don't know anything about that. I know some terminologies, but I have no background in chemistry to actually even touch that component. But as an enthusiast, fragrances are usually broken down into 3 different components. You have the top notes, you have the heart notes, and then you have the base notes. Now, the top notes usually consists of the impression of the fragrance. It's the first thing that you ever smell. And then later on, the fragrance is going to evolve. It's going to open itself up, and then you're greeted with the heart note. The heart note or the mid note is basically the fragrance's signature. So this is usually where whatever it is that the fragrance or the artist's idea of the fragrance, this is where it should manifest. And then a couple of minutes or hours later, depending on the concentration of the fragrance, you're hit with the base note. Now, the base note is the lingering scent. It's the last kiss before goodbye. This pretty much leaves the essence of your fragrance. And talking about fragrances this way gives us a deeper appreciation of the art of perfumery. Because here's the thing, creating fragrance isn't particularly easy, nor is it particularly cheap. Hence, some fragrances would cost anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 to sometimes going up to more than 30,000 pesos. There are fragrances, especially if they're very old or very vintage, but they're very well maintained, could probably net you somewhere around 100,000. And why would these cost this much? Well, there's a number of factors. You have the components, which is basically the ingredients used to create the perfume. You have production, how many bottles and how many gallons did they produce during that time or during that era. You also have accessibility. Did they produce this for the mass market, or was it just for a handful of select people? And of course, hype. Yes, folks, hype works for fragrances, and you'd be surprised to find some bottles here being sold for maybe 1,000 or 2,000 pesos that you can sell for $700 US abroad. And if you're a true fraghead, you would know what that is. See, there's a whole new dimension for fragrance collection. One of them would be designer perfumes versus niche perfumes. What I have here with me are niche perfumes. The designer perfumes, think of them as GRs for your sneakers. And then your more hyped versions are your niche perfumes. And what we have here are fragrances from the house of Amouage. Amouage is an Omani-based luxury fragrance brand. They're known for creating a lot of very complex, very nuanced, very challenging fragrances that have Middle Eastern roots. And this particular brand here is being carried by Art of Scent, which is a fragrance store that carries a lot of really good curated items. Amouage is just one of the many luxury niche brands that the shop carries. And majority of the bottles that I have here were bought from them. except for this, which I took a chance at Lazada. Now, there is a shop in Lazada called My Fave Box, and they were selling Amouage plus a lot of other niche brands at a great discount. Now, I already had a bad experience with buying fragrances at Lazada, but this was like about 6 or 7 years back. And to be honest, the store at that time, it was really messy. So of course, there's always that fear of getting a counterfeit item. During that time, I got myself one. Luckily, I was able to reverse it. And as always, the rule of thumb is if it's too good to be true, it most probably is. However, there will always be that exception. And I bit the bullet particularly for this. Why? Because this particular Amouage cost $6,990 at Lazada. And that's already at a discount. The original SRP of this is somewhere above 12,000, which basically is the true SRP of Amouages. They're around 12 to 15,000 pesos a piece. Now, yes, they are expensive, but for good reason. And I'll dive on this in a bit. So during Lazada's 6/6 sale, this actually dropped to 6,750. Fine, it's 200 pesos, but with a lot more discounts that you can stack up, I actually got this for less than 6 grand. And to be honest, because this is a blind buy, I've not smelled this before, I don't have a reference point to know if what I'm getting is legit or not. So I'm basing everything from my experience of buying other previous Amouages with the weight of the bottle, the packaging, the stickers, and all the small details to know if something is legit or not. And I'm taking that into account. Now, I also got myself a soap. Yes, it's probably one of the most expensive, frivolous things I've got because this soap is $1,000. So yes, this is 1,000 pesos worth of soap. However, I'm actually really excited to try this out because I actually have the perfume of this. So this is Memoir Man. This is Memoir Man from Amouage as well. I got this way back and I'd like to know if the scent of this reflects this. I have not opened this yet. We'll open it at the same time. But this one, I had to open it because I had to test this out. And to be honest with you, for the price of less than 6,000 pesos for an Amouage, that this is most likely, most probably 98%, 99% authentic. There is always that 1% of doubt. But honestly, the 99% trumps it all. Particularly for a fragrance like Amouage, there are so many small details to take into consideration to check authenticity. So one is the holographic sticker that you can find at every Amouage product. The holographic sticker has the Amouage logo, but it's not just that. There is a small secure word that's printed over the logo of Amouage that you can easily see. So this one, you have to find it and you have to check it, and this actually has it. That's one. Two would be the product code. The product code's usually found here at the back and at the bottom. So if they have those and it reflects what's inside the bottle, then you probably have an authentic material. Next would be the bottle itself. The recent Amouage bottle caps are really heavy because they are magnetic. Now, there is no way for you to put the cap in reverse because it's always going to rotate forward because of, magnets. Like so. So let's check as well if that actually happens here. This is actually how you open it. Do it slowly as well because there might be a tendency for you to actually lift everything and unfortunate spills happen. It has happened before. So this is the bottle cap. It's magnetic. Let's see if it actually rotates. Oop. Sorry. See? It actually won't go in because the magnet is fighting it. Now, there is general artistry in Amouage bottles, and particularly for Imitation Man, it looks stunning. The packaging alone warrants attention, and there is a creative story behind it. Apparently, the inspiration for Amouage Imitation Man is an era in the 80s. Now, creative director back then, Christopher Chong, tracks his journey towards going to the West with his creation for Amouage. Journey is an homage to his heritage. He was born in Shanghai, grew up in Hong Kong, went to US. This is supposed to be a depiction of 80s New York. This is the vibe and the feel that he felt and saw when he first transferred there. Hence the very colorful, very neon vibe, neon hue bottle. You have traces of cyan going to some magentas and bleeding into some neon greens here at the bottom. And in the center, of course, you have the Amouage logo, and the cap design from the men's line resembles that of the Khanjar's hilt. So this is a ceremonial sword that's given to a lot of dignitaries. So this shape, that's the hilt of that. And here at the center sits a single Swarovski crystal. So yes, this is a Swarovski crystal. Not particularly sure what the color of this is, but each Amouage line has a specific color of Swarovski crystal embedded here at the center. It's a really great touch and adds to the whole luxury vibe of the whole fragrance. And to be honest, that is what I like about the brand. The brand is not afraid to be opulence because it is. You're paying an insane amount already to begin with, so why not give you the full presentation to feel your money's worth? Now, of course, packaging alone isn't the sole reason why you got the perfume anyway. It's the scent. So for that, let's try it out. So I'll also spray it on paper, so I'll have varying points of references. So as you can see, I sprayed the perfume at great distance. So a lot of Pinoys would spray it very, very closely to the skin. You're not actually supposed to do that. That's also one of the reasons why some fragrances might seem too strong to certain people, because you spray it that closely. You want to spray it at a distance, maybe around 5 to 6 inches. So as you can see a while ago, it's just the mist that's touching me. That way you get a full sense of what the opening notes are. And remember, we talk about the top notes, the heart notes, and the base notes. And particularly for Imitation, when it opens up to this very fresh, very nuanced floral scent. Now, as I mentioned, I've actually been wearing this for a couple of days. Imitation Man may not be for everyone. This is a superbly floral scent. Yes, it is for men. It is marketed for men, but then it's very floral. So if you're new to fragrances, you might be a little bit confused. Why would you push florals for men? To be honest with you, the idea that florals are just for women is really just a marketing ploy. The idea of segregating perfume that's just for men or for women only happened in the last 100 years. Before, when it started, fragrances are just that, fragrances. Florals can be worn by men and probably have been worn by men for the longest time. So now, going into this, while it does have a lot of floral into it, it also has nuances of leather. Now this one rounds off your floral aspects. You have a little bit of orris and violet here, and rose. So rose is a known scent already for a lot of people. I'm pretty sure you've smelled roses during your prom when you bought one for your date, or your corsage when you were wearing it. Now the rose here isn't the jammy rose or the really heady rose that are present in a lot of perfumes. This one is a little bit subdued. It's like rose water. You know, you have hints of rose, but it's very effervescent. So making a video honestly about fragrances is really hard, because it's hard for me to convey what the scents are. You know, I'm trying to find the right words for it. I hope you're getting an idea of what the scent of this is. So after a very fresh citrus floral opening, it now goes into a more floral, more leather nuance sort of vibe. It has orris root. Again, orris root has this lipsticky feel. It actually smells a little bit synthetic. According to the story in the creative narrative, is that it should represent the vinyl record. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if you're a collector of vinyls. If you are and you've happened to come across this, or you like the scent of that, then this might actually be, you know, a scent for you. Again, take note that this is very floral, as in it's super floral, but then it's not offensive. And when I say offensive, it doesn't really attack your nose, because there are some perfumes that do that. This one in particular, called Interlude, does that. This is a very strong fragrance. You spray 1 or 2 of this and you're done. That's it. You don't want it to do anything more. 3 or 4 sprays, you will kill somebody. But for this one, you can overspray yourself. You can do 3, 4, 5 sprays and you're fine. Now, after a few more hours, maybe the 3rd or 4th hour, there is now an interplay of floral and a little bit of vetiver. That's a very earthy, very rooty sort of scent. Again, it just grounds everything together. You still have the leather there, but the leather is very clean. It's not like a horse satchel sort of leather smell. So again, nothing very offensive, which is a critique on the house of Amouage. They're known to create a lot of really strong fragrances, and this isn't really one of them. In fact, I could safely say that Imitation Man is very safe. Even if you're averse to floral, it doesn't really scream, you know, sampaguita, or it doesn't really scream, you know, very tita. You know, there are some scents that has that vibe. But this one is just suave. It's soft but leathery. It's floral, but it's a bit rooty. You know, it has a lot of these interplays happening. So in terms of longevity, which is basically how long the perfume from start to finish lasts, this would give you about anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. By the 9th hour, it's going to fade and it's going to be a little bit of a skin scent at this point. But for the first 3 hours, you would get a moderate scent cloud around you. Now, the interplay of the almost synthetic lipsticky vibe with the rose, with the leather, also gives you this really clean, almost soapy feel. So if you're into that, this actually has a little bit of that. But again, the signature scent of this would be florals with hints of leather. This actually reminds me a lot of 90s powerhouse fragrances for women, something along the lines of Chanel. But it's not too heavy as to qualify as 90s powerhouse perfume. So it has that vibe, but it tones it down a bit. So it's a little bit more refined, a little bit more nuanced, and something that can easily be worn in today's setting. So think of it as plucking something from the 80s or early 90s and bringing it to now. So that is what Imitation Man is. So am I happy with the purchase? Honestly, if I paid full price for this, if I paid 12 grand, maybe not as much, because I would have wanted something a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more Amouage character. But for less than 6 grand, this is actually a really good scent. Plus, the packaging just looks crazy amazing. Now, I can see myself wearing this when it's a little bit colder, but not necessarily very, very cold. Like, now, if you wear this in sub-zero temperature, I don't think this is going to sit well. If I have to pick a season, and there really is just 2 seasons in the Philippines, but if I have to pick like in the normal 4-season setting, this could work well in spring or fall. If you're going to be stuck in the office for most of the day, this is an office-safe scent. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, I want to check this out and I want to open this with you guys. So let me just like indulge me for like maybe just a few more minutes. And again, this is Amouage Memoir Man, and the scent of this is very, very green, very, very herbaceous. It has wormwood, which basically I think is a component for absinthe. So it has that sweet, herby sort of scent, and then it sits on a bed of smoke. It gives you a lot of mint, and it's just, oh my god, look at the packaging. Just look at the packaging of this. Packaging alone is it's crazy. The packaging alone is crazy. I'm super in love with it. Nice, very thick cardboard box, silver design stamp, and inside this is the soap. Actually has a nice paper packaging as well. Again, very, very small touches, but it just adds to the whole luxury vibe of the brand. But oh my god. This is 150 grams of luxurious soap from Amouage. And that's pretty much it for this episode. And again, I'm sorry if I ranted a little bit too much on perfume, if I geeked a little bit too much on it. If this is something that you'd like to see me do again, let me know in the comment section down below. If this is something that interests you, I can probably do a follow-up. I have, again, 70 plus perfumes here. I can do like lists of recommendation for office, lists of recommendation for dates. And that's it. That's actually my latest buy from Lazada during the 6/6 sale. It's weird. I never actually thought of getting myself fragrance in Lazada again, but apparently your fav box is legit. So if you're interested with all of this, I can link this down at the description box down below so you can check them out yourselves. And again, if you've stuck until this point, maraming salamat po. I hope you learned something new. And again, my name is Colin, guys. Please keep safe, keep healthy, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye, Hype Peeps. Peace out.